Let's stick to functions. Another nice feature which is available in modern JavaScript is that you can assign default arguments to function parameters. Let's say here in our add function, for some reason we want to have a default value for b. So we know we want to be able to add two numbers together, but in case you call this function with only one number, we'll assume a default for the second argument or for the second parameter. We can do so by adding an equal sign here in the parameter list and then setting our default value, which of course has to match our type. For example, 1 or whatever the default should be. And now this enables us to call this function with only one argument. So I could call it like this, and TypeScript would not complain because it detects that we have a default argument here, which is then taken for b. And therefore here I get an output of 6 because my default b is 1 and I add 5, which makes 6. Now, one important note about default arguments here, they have to be last in the list. If you assign a default argument to a, for example, we'll have an issue. Why? Because default arguments are not skipped when you call a function. So if I call a function here with one argument, then the arguments I'm passing in here are passed to the parameters in the same order. So calling the function with one argument, 5 in this case, passes this one argument to the first argument here in the parameter list. And since the second argument is not provided with a default, it's not optional, and hence we provide no second argument at all. So TypeScript, or JavaScript actually, does not look at your function definition and guess that you probably want to skip the default argument and provide your value to the non-default one. Instead, it simply adheres to the order, and therefore you should set defaults from the right. So make sure that the parameters for which you don't accept default arguments come first before your default parameters.